Good evening. Hope you all are doing great. This is Open Talks with Kambi Putri. It's our first podcast on this channel. I am Melvin Wilson, and with me we have Prerna Jacob and Shreya Vijay. For this discussion, we have two special guests with us. One is Feba Mariam Panikar. She is a counseling psychologist. And moving on to another guest, he is TV Joshua, who has been retired as a senior deputy controller of administrator from Council of Science and Institutional Researches. So we welcome both of you to our show Open Talks with Kambi Putri. Prerna Jacob, moving on with the introduction of our today's discussion, continued by Shreya Vijay.
The aim of our podcast is to discuss the relationship between teenagers, parents, and teachers, the various challenges they face, and how they can overcome such issues.
So, to start a podcast, I would like to raise the first question, which is how should an ideal relation between a teacher and a student be? Ma'am?
Since I'm working in a school, I'm sure most of you can agree with this fact that a relationship between a teacher and a student should be an open relationship, where especially teenagers like you can feel free to come and approach teachers at any point of time, not just for academics, but for personal issues as well, right? Like there may be some things which I may not be able to openly talk about with my parents or with my friends. But if I have that one teacher that I can trust and I can share and openly speak to about my problems, maybe that will give me a good kind of a sense of security as a student. What do you think about it? Does that make sense?
It does.
So that is the kind of relationship that should be the ideal relationship between a teacher and a student. I'm sure it may be different from people to people, but that should be the way it should be, right?
Sir, do you want to join in, add in something?
Yeah, I would say a bit out of my experience when we studied, actually we are all fearful about afraid of approaching our teachers. They always used to stand with one stick. Not like today. Today it's not said no teacher is supposed to have any sort of stick or anything of the side like that. So we studied, we used to get a lot of punishments, whether it is for not a good start or even for misbehavior, for that matter, for anything. So some sort of a discipline always they used to take care of at the level at school level. But that aspects is ruled out nowadays. But of course, as far as your the question asking about the relationship is concerned, definitely I would say that it should be it should be a friendly. It should be friendly. The student should be able to approach the teacher as a close friend, so that he can open up and ask any question, so that he is not he gets a proper advice for understanding of your problem and then advise you properly. So it should, as Feba ma'am said, so it should be more of a friendly than a teacher student relationship which used to be earlier. I agree with her. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
so my question is to both of you, as you are a teacher.
Yeah.
So my question is that what challenge do you face while teaching a teenager?
I think
So
Ms. Weba would be able to explain better, being a teacher.
Yeah, there are definitely challenges when it comes to teaching teenagers. Sometimes, since I am a little bit closer to them in their age, I can connect a little bit. But sometimes there are some things which you don't feel connected to. There may be some trends or something which is going around, which they are more aware of, and we are not so much aware of. So that is one challenge when it comes to teaching teenagers. And sometimes, as sir rightly said, earlier and all, we used to respect teachers a lot. Like we never even used to look at our teachers and answer back, or like we only used to say good morning and wish and then walk away. But nowadays it is, I'm sure you guys can agree that it has changed a lot nowadays. Like
yeah,
students have started openly talking to teachers, and like that element of respect is missing a lot, and maybe that can be one gap which has come in, and one of the big challenge that is being seen as a thing when it comes to teaching teenagers.
I would add to it. Actually, see, the information technology has, given, opened up a lot of information to even at every age. Therefore, mostly all of you are informed of everything, every subjects. So
Yeah,
at times, yeah, at times, when you are in the class, some teenagers, some students, act as if, I know better than the teacher. So, so they see, seldom they care for what the teacher is to tell you. So that problem comes up mostly in the class, and therefore they do sort of a carelessness sort of a thing they do. With that, some students may be very attentive in the class, but because of the actions of the other few, the total class get disturbed. The teenagers, see, since the knowledge base has widened and available from different sources, they feel that we are grown up and we are informed and do not need to listen to particular teacher or particular subjects. That sort of a problem, probably the present teachers must be facing. I don't know. Ms. Weber would be
Yes, sir,
experiencing
you
more
are
about it.
correct. You're correct. You're very correct.
Yeah. Mm.
Sir?
Is there anything that you have wished to teach students, but you were not able to, maybe because of the management or because of some other kind of barrier, ma'am?
See, I get to, since I work as a counselor, I teach psychology as well, but I get to talk about a lot of topics. Though we are limited, we are not allowed to talk too much in detail because we don't want to expose children who are not aware also. Our main objective is to spread awareness. Like make children aware. Suppose if you're talking about drugs, for example. So if I am going to take a workshop for the students, I should not take the names of 10, 15 drugs and make the children who are not even aware about these things aware, and then they should not go and start using these things. So I have to design my whole way of talking in such a way that it has to be all about awareness and not about promoting the use of such things. So any particular topic, there are definitely some topics which we cannot talk about because of management reasons, but most of the topics we do cover when it comes to school and workshops and all. But I'm not sure regular teachers who are teaching in classes get time to share about every topic because they have to finish their syllabus as well. Right.
Yeah, I also add to
Sir,
that.
would you like to add on?
See, all the teachers have their own subjects and topics to teach you. To go beyond that, they seldom get time, probably. And see, probably, I don't know, teachers welcome any such questions during when they're teaching the topics. And I don't think students are very keen to even ask questions at the time of teaching also. Rarely I find students asking questions. Only some naughty students, just to create problems in the class, may ask some unwanted questions. Other than that, I don't think any question who want to learn something, asking questions from teachers. But at the same time, it is always better to creating awareness. If students are asking and the teacher is able to answer those questions, that would be helping. Yeah, of course, definitely. If the teacher can handle that, but it's very difficult and tight schedule is there for the teacher to handle their own subjects. But it is, of course, if any teacher knowledgeable about handling other subjects, she or he should impart such knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is what is the one sphere in the education system that you think could be improved upon? Like, for instance, like right now, online classes, not many people are accessible to online education and all. So any other?
Online, actually, it is a need of the time. It is not that conducive. See, we all have experience in Indian culture. Students have gone to the teachers' ashrams and they used to study there. From that culture only, we have all come up. Then there used to be padashalas, and then the professional education system has come up. We have well defined, well organized schooling and then colleges. So of course, the present system of schooling or college going is more advisable. That one, because one-to-one meeting of the students, relationship between the student and the teacher takes place. That is necessary. But of course, over the time, by passing time and the situations based on need, improvement can come in.
So I think one of the things which you guys will also agree is curriculum. There's a same curriculum is being followed for like so many years. I still remember when I was in school, Abibi, the same textbooks are being used, right? So there's not
Yeah,
much of
right.
change in the curriculum and no space for creativity. I think that is one thing which can be changed, or one sphere that I'm not so comfortable with. And also that exams based learning that we have, whatever we learn for the exams and then we forget completely, right? So the
Yeah.
actual learning part is not happening, but only the knowledge gaining part is being left out. The only rote learning part is being done, and marks are being given on the basis of that. And I think many teachers promote also learning from the book and writing the answers, but they are not wrong, because they have to do their checking in a specific way as well. So the whole system there, the flaw which comes in is over there, that we're not able to, go beyond the marks part. We're just looking at the marks, and the actual learning part is being overlooked. Schools in the Western countries, they are much more, when it comes to talking about knowledge, they are much more advanced in those cases. So we still stick to our old curriculum. We don't change it. We are learning the same thing. And when you start working, or when you go into the actual world, you may actually feel that some of the things that you learned in the book are not applicable at all, right? So those could be the areas that the challenge.
So
One
I
thing
would,
that I
I,
would,
yeah,
yeah,
please.
Melvin, carry on.
So we are a poverty-stricken country. Even we can know maybe less than 60% of the people are still below the poverty. Below the middle class. You see, to reach them, to fetch them education to the level, at least to the minimum level, is a very hard action. Task. So primarily, when they are designing education for all, so people also need to be taken care of. So advancement, or sort of advancement, is good in education, but while framing policies for education, those chunk of people also should be kept in mind, and things can be devised only based on that. So even now, see, when we are going for online, it's not reaching the villages and villages. Now TVs are being purchased for villages for assembling people. Assembling the students and for online teaching. How far it is possible, I don't know, and how successful it would be. So for making any such kind of improvement in the systems, need actually vast, sort of infrastructural changes. So it may take time. It may take time.
You're
But
right, sir.
yeah.
You're right.
Even though I do agree with what you say, but often what we see is that many students are actually very unsatisfied with the way things go in schools. It may be irrelevant at times, but if we can take topics like, probably they're not satisfied with the uniforms, they're not satisfied with the thinking of many people, many teachers, or the management, to be clear. I think the recentest example that I can take is that a girl and a boy cannot sit together. So when it comes to us teenagers, we always have a question why, even though our intentions aren't wrong. But why is it? What do you think, ma'am?
See, there's nothing wrong in them saying that girls and boys should not sit together, because we agree that there's nothing wrong in you sitting together. But the point is, every school has rules, right? So whenever we are part of an institution, we have to follow the rules that are being presented by them. I think that's the most simple answer which I can give. There's nothing wrong in girls and boys sitting together as long as you are like friends or anything. There's nothing wrong. But when it comes to the decorum of a classroom, or when it comes to, you have to understand that it is not the teacher enforcing these rules. There are rules that are set already in place by the school that are being followed from a long time. Even I had the same question when I was your age, even though I'm in a girls' school. But still, this is a question which we have discussed a lot. But now coming to the other side of a teacher, putting myself in the shoes of a teacher, I understand why this is being said. Because if anything happens in the school, between maybe somebody does something or anything wrong happens, the school is held responsible for it. So the school is correct to take as much precautions as possible, right? So them saying you not to sit together is just because they want you to be safe, even though they are okay with you being friends. I'm sure no school says that boys and girls cannot be friends, right? They agree for you to hang out together, but just sitting apart, because when you come to this particular age, there are a lot of distractions. So they try to minimize that as much as possible in a classroom, and they try so the teaching can go on smoothly. So, sir, if you want to add on something to that.
Yeah, see, you have enough time and space to mingle with, other sex of your class or your this thing outside your classroom. Nobody is banning that. It's not. In the class, the teacher wants that the whole attention is devoted to the topics being taught there. See, nobody would hesitate if a girl or a boy is sitting together. There's no problem. But the problem is, you should understand the age you are in, or the growth rate, the growth taken place in the changes, or that the physical changes that has taken place in you as a girl. Of course, see, the other side, the boy also is in a transition period of his age. The surge for attraction to the opposite sex is always there. So if something goes wrong mutually, then it's a real problem, and that the whole things can get distracted and studies would get affected. Not only that, the parents would come with problems and will catch hold of the teachers if something goes wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know what
So
happens? The parents come and they
yeah,
say that why did you make them sit together? Why? What
wow.
were you doing?
So,
The teacher
so
is blamed.
certain amount of discipline has to be maintained in the school, definitely. So you have enough time to mingle with others outside. Nobody is saying no. Is not. But in the school, even in our churches, I hope you're some of your Malayali, Christians. In the school,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have in the church, it is devised. The girls are one side, the boys are at the side. So we have been questioning why so. Why not mingle together? Western countries, some places they sit together in the benches and all. That is there definitely. But here we are following our culture since that has been taught, passed on to us from generation as a custom. So we are not questioning that, because there are certain underlining meaning towards it. Let us respect that. Nobody is going to question the intention of anybody for that matter. That has been found to be okay for drawing your attention, so that you are not get diverted into other things, other sorts of sources. These sort of rules and regulations are made. It is better to follow as a young child. Once you've grown up, after this teenage, we will all realize why such things were there, why those rules were there, norms were there. Then we won't question. While undergoing this period of teenage, definitely all sorts of things will be we will see in a colored manner. As if there are so much of interference from seniors or from elders, we will feel like that. That's why it is so. Otherwise, nobody would question. Nobody would question, okay, why you are sitting together, why you are going out, why you are mingling together. No problem for that matter. Okay. Yeah.
I want to ask your opinions about what sort of teachers should a school hire? As you mentioned earlier that at your times, a teacher used to be there with strictness, and as ma'am mentioned earlier that she used to be quite oftenly mingle with students. So I asking you, what sort of teacher you think a school should hire and a teenager should have in perfect?
Sir, please.
See, it is the see while selecting a teacher, there are many parameters are being looked into by the selection body in the school. Okay, so naturally, one the teacher should be able to teach you well. She should adapt in the topic that has been given with, or the subject that has been given with, primarily. Then the body language of the teacher is seen while selecting a teacher. Okay, she is able to converse, or she is able to behave, or she is able to in the presentation that is making self presentation that she is making the class, and how able she is to teach you the subject. That is the primary thing. Secondary, naturally, see other things uh, come along with primarily it is being seen that whether the teacher is able to teach you the topic very well or not. Okay, it's not that how affluent family she is coming from, or how background she is coming from, or how ethical she is. I mean, the sense behaviorally she is what and all. Of course, a person should be of moral character, plus she should be a model for the teacher in the class. Such person should be selected as a teacher for the class. Rest is within the teacher to manage the class. Okay, yeah, I think
Yeah.
Feba would be able to add better in this one.
Also, as you said, you're very correct, sir. You're very right. Every school has their own set way of hiring teachers. They have their own set criteria. But as you said, what makes the perfect teacher? I would say that there are no perfect teachers. We're all human beings, right? So we may make mistakes. But one thing is correct, that teachers are learning each day. Just like you guys are learning, just like students are learning, teachers are also learning each and every day, because situations, see, as you are now talking about online classes, how much do you think teachers would have also struggled with online teaching? Because they're not getting their
Yeah.
whiteboards, they're not getting their blackboards, they're not able to teach the way that they are comfortable with for so many years. So a lot of things, when it comes to a perfect teacher, I don't think there's anything called a perfect teacher. Each teacher is also learning just like a student is learning. So I think we should give them some space as well. We should not expect them to be a proper model citizen, but we should we definitely see them as a role model. Yes. So we have some duties towards a student, but at the same time, anything happens, students blame the teacher. Paper difficult tha, teacher was like this, teacher did not make me study, or unko padhana nahi aata, all those things. So what we have to understand is teacher sometimes has their own issues, right? So
Yeah.
that's that, right? So it's good to keep all that in mind.
Okay.
So towards the next question, we often see that there's a generation gap between teenagers and teachers, a vast generation gap. So do you think that it can be one of the reasons why there's a barrier between the relationship that the teenager has with his or her teacher? Can we blame only the generation gap, or as you said earlier, the
But
other factors?
I don't think there is
Ma'am?
any generation gap. Feba madam is a teacher for psychology. I mean, what psychology?
Yeah,
She's
but as you both said that there is at your age and now also there is an distance between the relationship between teacher and teenager. So what we meant to ask is this between generation gap, or we are maintaining that?
Actually, we cannot call it a generation gap. Now you are getting teachers from, you are in the class of 9, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, teenagers after 13 or to 19, the teenagers, of course, would be in higher classes. And you are getting, say, teachers of the age of 25, 26, even less than that. Those who are passed out from the, the thing, and as B.Ed or plus some graduation plus B.Ed. So they may be also at the age of 25, 26, not much more than that. So you can't say there is a generation gap as far as these days teachers are there as compared to the yesterday years when we were studied. We youngsters studied always with the, teachers who were so much experienced and aged ones. There, as I said, of course, there was generation gap, and see, passing time also, the things used to be like that. But nowadays, I don't think so, because you are also equally informed as of your teacher now. So you cannot say that there is any generation gap as such. Uh, Other than that, a teacher has to be a bit strict while teaching in the class to keep you disciplined, and to pass on the information that she has, or to impart the information or the knowledge that she has to you. For that matter, she has to maintain certain dignity, certain distance. Other than that, I don't think there is any generation gap these days between the teachers and the students. Feva may, I don't know, add to it.
Yes, sir, you are absolutely correct. Because even when I have seen personally older teachers also connecting really well with the younger students, with teenagers. I've seen the teachers saying that my teacher is like a motherly figure or a fatherly figure. They do say those things. So generation gap, yes, it did exist. It did exist, but now, as you're saying, sir, many of the teachers are quite young. They're in their 20s. So I don't think the generation gap could be the only barrier which stops children from interacting with the teachers. Maybe the fear of the teacher, reporting the things to the parents or the other higher authorities. Maybe that could be something which could be stopping children, or maybe not trusting the teacher enough to go and share, or maybe the teacher not having time to listen to the student. There could be n number of other factors other than the generation gap, which could be affecting this particular factor of children not being able to approach teachers. Right?
So yeah, maybe whether a teacher might add this out of this context of textbook teaching, should they add this moral value also of teaching the manners or etiquettes other than the textbook teaching in class?
See, I would say these manners and etiquettes comes from your home first, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Brought up by your parents. Okay. So you have to have faith in them first. All the parents want that the children are brought up in a morally correct, in a very well-mannered, well-disciplined way. But when after the teenage stage or something like that, you don't have faith in your parents. You go for sort of a
Peer pressure.
more into relations, peer relations and all. So have faith in your parents, listen to them. All the parents want you are brought up in a very disciplined manner. For that matter, they may at times, scold you, at times maybe give you a bit of punishments. But their aim is that my child, my student, my boy or girl or my children is brought up in such a way that they are the good citizens of this for our country. Okay, so have faith in them. Then comes the role of the teacher. Of course, the teacher also have a role to make you a good disciplined person, as beneficial to the society. For that matter, but their role is limited. They are getting limited time to teach you or to converse with you. They comes with a topic. They maybe are getting half an hour with the textbooks, or different methodology she has to adopt for teaching you. Very limited time. In that matter, I don't think she can discipline you very well. And not only one teacher you have different teachers. You must be finding one teacher better than the other, and maybe the other one better than the other. With that matter, you may listen to one, you may not listen to the other two. So you make choices, but it's not the blame. It's not the problem of that one teacher. Okay.
Yes.
So all may not be of the same level or same caliber, maybe of the same relationship. Won't be able to keep. But at the same time, all teachers want that their students excel in their studies as well as behave properly. For that matter, but it is only you have to accept that. First of all, you have to accept that. That acceptance has to come from you. But seldom you are ready to accept that. So first of all, I can put it like that. I think
so Feba ma'am, what's your opinion about this?
Many schools do have courses like moral values or moral education. There's separate classes for that. I'm sure the curriculum demands it nowadays. Many schools have those for etiquettes and other things. Otherwise, they hold workshops also for these purposes. But we cannot still. One more thing which I have noticed is children of your age group, particularly, they are not so comfortable with them being corrected by the teacher again and again, no matter how much the teacher may try to enforce moral values. Or so basically I've heard a lot of teenagers your age about the fact that they don't like to be controlled by their teachers. They don't like to be said what is right, what is wrong. So how far, if we expect a teacher to morally correct us, but how far are we willing to listen to the teacher when he or she is uh, correcting us morally? Some of us listen, but many of us are not willing to listen. But still, schools are offering classes like moral education or moral values for the inculcation of moral values among students. So that is there, but how far are we willing to accept that particular thing? How far are we willing to correct ourselves to inculcate these moral values in our life? Are we ready to accept that from the teacher? Because we say that you should, some students, I've heard them saying that you're just taking a salary, you want to just finish, stick to your studies, why are you teaching us about moral values? So that kind of a thing, there is that kind of a mentality as well. So we can't solely just blame, like, or put teachers to the part, okay, you are the ones who have to teach moral values to the children, right? Does that
Yeah.
Because this age, this your age is such that you will say, "Oh, मुझे सब पता है, हमें सब पता है."
Yeah, we have a mentality like that.
You tend to say always that any subject you take, अरे हमें सब पता. You will tell parents also and teachers also, ये क्या सिखाना हमें. I mean, this sort of an attitude once developed, then it actually you won't give value to anybody for that. So
and you know
your
what
age,
the
of
scary
course,
part
has
is?
pardon. Yeah. So
No, you know what the
accept the give value or give credence, credibility to the advices being given by parents as well as teachers. As first of all, have faith in them. Have faith in them and think that they are for your betterment. Even if they are advising you, they are correcting you, it is for your betterment. That when they are correcting you, you should be ready to accept that. Okay, that acceptance should come from your part. Fine.
Were you saying something, Favor ma'am?
No, I was just saying that, the scary part is that the children are willing to 10%, 20%, they're willing to listen to the parents because they have biological authority over them. But because the teacher is not even related to them, they're like, what authority do you have to, question my choices? It's my life. Let me do whatever I want. That is the kind of generation it is right now.
That's
Which is why I'm saying.
come from the house only first. Yeah.
That's it. So let's
Yes.
just.
So the
Yeah.
I
last
think that's
question
clear.
for this, so the last question for this session is, how do you think students can be more open towards their teachers? Should the efforts be taken up by the teachers themselves, or should students put in something from their side?
It should definitely be a bridge kind of a thing. It should be two ways. Teachers should also be taking the effort, and students should also be taking the effort to, have that kind of a connection with each other. Nowadays, teachers are doing that, and students are also themselves approaching teachers, which is a good thing. But one way it is not possible just by the student coming, or just by see, maybe the student is approaching but the teacher does not have time, then the relationship is not being built. Or maybe the teacher wants to talk to the student but the student does not trust the teacher, is not willing to open up. So that will not work. It has to come from both the sides. I'm sure sir would add on to that.
Your teenage, of course, as you know, as I understand, see, your inquisitiveness or questioning others or even not accepting others, that is much more than the Esther age actually. When a teacher is being taught, say, you tend to question him at times, not even accepting that moral advisors or moral correctness are a different issue. But even you tend to question. You see, taunt the teacher. See, you also have certain knowledge. See, the smart students at times, play over smart, starts questioning teachers that they may not like. So they will develop sort of a difference between you and. I know my own daughter, while probably she was in ninth or tenth or so, I don't know, I don't remembering, maybe 11th or so. She was good at her studies, but at the same time, she had a problem of or questioning the teachers. So she used to think as if she's smart and play over smart. The one teacher, English teacher, reduced her mark about 10 marks forcefully. Knowingly. Then she started complaining. She started all sorts of. She complained to me as well. You have to come with and see. I first of all tried to pacify her. Okay, whatever is given. You might have done that much only. Fine, let it be like that. But no, she didn't agree. She made me to come and talk to the teacher. Then the teacher told me, probably you don't know your daughter. She taunts me in the class. She thinks she's over smart. Okay, she is not prepared to even listen to what I teach. Starts questioning with the knowledge that she has. So I deliberately reduce 10 marks this time so that I are able to convey that difference to her. So I said, I said, it's okay, fine. Let her understand the problem. So while that acceptance of the teacher, what is, naturally, as Faber ma'am said, all the teachers are not perfect all the time. See, you must have grasped some knowledge from here and there, and maybe coming to the class while teaching that subject, you may ask some multiple questions which he may not be able to answer. So you just cannot degrade him for that matter. His teacher doesn't know anything for that matter. He has certain knowledge, he has certain experience, and he is able to teach you. So you should be able to accept him. But at the same time, the first question was how to open up between the teacher and you. Definitely, you should have a close relationship with your teacher. You should be able to discuss anything for that matter. Of course, the girl should discuss such personal problems while coming up in the school with the ladies teachers. Maybe personal issues, openly she should be able to go and discuss. Should not keep it as a secret within you, and face problems. Psychological or mental problems for that matter. You should open up and discuss with, or whenever you have any complaint against any particular teacher with regard to any sort of advancement or any sort of problems, you should be able to go and tell that to the headmaster or headmistress, whoever is responsible for that matter, because your age is like that. Anybody attempting to bring any sort of harassment sort of a thing, you should be able to open up that also at the authority. Don't keep it, don't restrict yourself, don't suffer, don't bear that on your own. Okay, that is essential. Open up, always open up. Don't keep it to yourself. Either you should discuss those things with the parents, or since you are in the school, go and discuss with the teacher. No doubt about it, they won't feel anything. Your problems are the general problems of everybody for that matter. Don't think that is your sole problem of yours. It is general problem. Everybody is facing this kind of problem. So don't keep to yourself. Open up and go and discuss with teacher. She is always there. He is always there to help you out. Okay. Yeah.
But ma'am, don't you think, ma'am, that when a lot of children actually do a lot of mischief in the class, but because of them, a lot of genuine students also, they aren't given that much attention, or they are overlooked. It's partly because of the student itself, but as a teacher, how do you separate, those mischief students and those genuine questions which actually need genuine answers? What is your?
It's basically, it depends on the teacher how much she or he is able to control the class when it comes to such questions. Like if there are unnecessary questions, if I as a teacher am not able to control my class, definitely the other questions will get overlooked, right? And I need to make sure that which questions are important enough to answer. If I am keeping on answering the unnecessary questions and giving time to that, I as a teacher am not doing my part of controlling the class properly, and I am neglecting my other students who want to ask. So of course that does happen, and here sometimes it's on the student, as you said, it's on the students as well, because if you know that your questions are not logical questions, or if you're just trying to have fun, you're affecting a lot of people in the class. You're affecting the teacher who has prepared a class and she has come to the class with a lot of preparation, and you're also affecting your classmates who want to study. Right. So it is affecting the teacher also when you think about it that way, when she's spending time on answering unnecessary questions. So that is what they can do, is they can try to enforce better class control in such cases.
I will add to it. You see, the miscreant students who don't want to study or want to create problems, the students will be ignored by the teacher. Will generally be ignored by the teacher. So those who have come to study, whatever be the situation of the class, they will study. They will be attentive to what the teacher is saying. Those miscreant students will be generally ignored by the students, or they will be punished, pushing them out of the class, like that. So you need not bother about those students. You have come to study, you attend to your studies, you care for that, and whatever the teacher has to pass on to you, attend to that carefully. I don't think there will be any. There are 1 or 2 or 4 students always there in the class who will be distracting. Okay, the teacher may be able to control them, may not be able to control them. At times, some teachers may send them out of the class, but even then again they have to come to the class the next day. So you have to live with them. Some amount of people, you see, even every society you will find people like that, but we have to live with them. So you learn to live with them, but at the same time, your concentration is to study what the teacher is imparting to you. Let them be ignored by you as well as the teacher.
Definitely.
Okay.
Personally, if you feel that there are some questions which you are not able to ask in the class because of such children, what you can do is you can go separately anytime and you can ask the teacher. I'm sure no teacher will send you away for asking genuine questions until your doubts are clarified. So you can always approach the teacher otherwise also. See, as I told you, you have to also start approaching the teacher for that bond to build between you guys, right?
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you,
So
sir.
you did answer our questions well. So thank you all.
With this, we come to an end of our first session, our first part of our podcast, where we had 2 amazing guests with us on our show. If you really did like our video, please comment down below and share it maximum within your reach. Please subscribe to our channel, Kambiputri, and comment down below your thoughts and your opinions about the topics which we discussed and our first podcast. We'll be meeting you tomorrow at 6 p.m. So it's me, Melvin Wilson, signing off with Prerna Jacob and Shreya Vijay.